We're going to start this puppy up. Clear? Prop.
And welcome back to Tip of the Week. For those of you waiting for us to resume the Affordaplane build, thank you for your patience. I've checked, it's getting warmer back in Wisconsin, so I would say within the next 2 weeks we'll be back up there and adding more to the build. Now, we haven't been doing nothing behind the scenes in the meantime. We've actually selected and purchased and received our engine. Now, the details were first released over on our Patreon site, and soon we will release them here for everyone to see. But in the meantime, we've also been working on getting our fabric choice all lined up. And so what we have for you this week is a little hint at the direction we're going. Note that we got some training on video here of a pretty nice system that we're probably going to go with based on your comments and the comments of professionals as far as how we're going to cover the Affordaplane, because that's going to be coming up soon. So take a look at this fine instructional information we received from one of the vendors.
It's going to overhang to about this point. So when we put our glue on, we want to go ahead and get the glue to this point.
Yeah.
So what I do is that I just use my finger as a gauge, it's a woodworking trick, set my line where I want to do it, and then I just go ahead and draw that line nice and straight all the way around. And it'll follow the curve just as well. This will do two things. The glue will leach through the fabric and lock it to the frame, and it'll also give us the glue on the surface that will help us to put on the perimeter tapes, which is done at a later step. And this is kind of cool. There's our glue cup. You glue that on. You put your glue in here. You can work all day long.
Yeah.
We keep it covered with a wet paper towel. Your glue will be good all day long. At the end of the day, you pull this out, throw it away. You have your holder for the next day. That will not fall off your wing. You can't spill it. It keeps you from making a big mess, because I make big messes. So take the glue, and now what you're going to do is just all the way around like you did before. Go ahead and bring this in. Do about 6 to 8 inches at a time. And then go ahead and take the blue paper towel and then just wipe once, and that locks it in. That presses it in and cleans up any gloppiness. This is really important when we get on a final tape.
Yeah.
This is going to be covered. When you cut fabric, one of the biggest difficulties you get, go ahead and cut this.
I won't know until I actually see it. In some areas of DC,
is you get this feathering, and that's really a problem when you're working with the fabric. So to avoid that, what you can do is take glue, mix it 50% glue, 50% water, so it becomes this really, really thin wash. When you know where you're going to be cutting, before you do any cutting, you go ahead and just wipe this in. Very lightly like that, and then grab a paper towel and just wipe this off.
Okay.
If you're getting on the table, just wipe it loose. And then you let that dry. Once that's dry and you cut it, there won't be any feathers. So before, when I pulled on this, we get this feathery stuff a lot. Once I put that thin 50-50 mix of the glue and water on here, I go ahead and cut across here. Now when I pull on this, there's no feathering. So that works really good. So if you know where you're going to cut, thin the glue out 50-50, 50% water, 50% glue, real light on there where you're going to cut, let it set for about 10 minutes, and then when you cut it, you have a nice locked in, you don't get the feathery edge. That's real helpful. So we use to calibrate the irons. So although the irons do have a temperature gauge on here, you really want to make sure that the gauge is accurate. Place this on here. see the needle will move. It'll tell you exactly what the temperature is. Some of the irons don't have a temperature gauge on them. The monocoat iron doesn't have a temperature gauge. So what you have to do is calibrate your iron and make sure you know where is 250, where is 300, where is 350. All the way to high on this is about 450 degrees, which will damage your fabric. Over 350, you lose the tightness of the fabric, it becomes loose again, and it's no longer airworthy. So you have to make sure you've got these things calibrated. So this was saying, this is set at about 275. So when we leave that on there, we'll see if that'll come up. So even though you've got a gauge in here, you still want to check your iron and make sure that your iron is really giving the temperature that it says it is.
Does Stewart sell those? Or
Yeah,
what?
Stewart sells these, yep. So it's just real simple. This is real similar to what is inside of a heating, the thermometer or thermostat that's on a wood stove. But that works. Yep, Stewart has those in the catalog. So they'll come around and tell you what the temperature is. So when you've got glue on something, you need to get it off, whether it's on a table or on a tube or whatever, you got some glosses, we use these. What this is the long gummy eraser that's used to clean off the belt sander. We cut these on a bandsaw into pieces. And then this is used anytime you want to remove a glob. So if I've got a glob on here, let's say I've got something thick on here that I don't like that's going to leave a bump. I can take this and I can use that and it'll help remove that gloppiness. So it's just a gummy eraser and it'll pull that, anything that's thick, it'll pull it right off the surface. So that works really good. Like we got a big, a little bit of bump there.
Up front, you know, a lot of customers have.
All right. So
So we're gonna mark it?
mark it so you're nice and centered on there. No, we'll use a straight edge.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, go ahead and mark it here also to get that nice and centered. Okay, now grab that paint stick.
Okay, now we got technical.
Yeah, we're real technical here. We're using a paint stick and we're using pencils and, you know, when you look at all the expensive tools we have, scissors, an iron,
Yeah.
some needles, pencils. Okay, do the same thing on the other side. This is really nice when you've got a whole bunch of ribs to do, because you do your first step and you do all your ribs, then you come back and do your next step. So what we do on here, real simple, take our glue, full strength glue, we go ahead and we do about 2 inches here. And then we take our tape, we go ahead and bed that down in there. You can see how nicely that beds down in. Make sure I got that lined up. Then I take a clean paper towel, clean private paper towel, and I go ahead, and in this case I'm pulling towards my edge, so I'm working any bubbles out, away. And you can see how nicely that beds that in there. And I can take the glue, put another layer on here. This is real important, this next step, to wipe this off, because this is finished. That's going to be there with a primer on top. So you want to go ahead and wipe that off, and only once, just pull it back. Don't go back and forth, because that'll cause it to get gloppy. So that's done for this first step. If you were doing multiple ribs, you'd go ahead and do the next one, the next one, the next one. Because on a rib, you really want to be able to pull this down when you start locking that tape in. So the next part of this is real simple. We take our glue, we come underneath here, we go ahead and we do about 3 to 4 inches at a time, no more than about 6 inches. Right up to our line. We don't want to get real messy past it. And then we go ahead, pull this down. Now in this case, I'm going to wipe this way because I'm pulling my bubbles towards where I'm going to be pulling later.
You didn't put anything on top of that?
Not yet. See, what I'm doing here is I'm bedding this down.
Yeah.
I'm really getting this work in here so I don't have, see, I slipped a little bit, so I need to get those wrinkles out. There we go, cut those out. I think I got a little crooked. Yeah. So let's back this up here. So this is where it's nicer when you can let this set up. Well, I hope what you've seen with some of the work we've done, how the Stewart system works, how it covers panels and so forth. Big issue we're dealing with here, this is a waterborne system. We don't use any MEK, we don't have any nasty chemicals. You can do this in the house, you can do this in the garage, you can do this with your kids, your grandkids, you can do this in a classroom. That's the beauty of this. No toxicity, no issues. The other systems are great. They've been around for 30 years. There's nothing wrong with them. Problem is, in a state like I live in, California, MEK and other solvents are going to be banned very quickly. When you can use water as a solvent, it just eliminates all the issues. It just really is a safe system. I really like working with it. I get kind of tired doing this sometimes. It gets kind of hot. I need a drink of water. I need my paint thinner. I need a little, I'm going to drink some, hang on, I'm going to drink some paint thinner. It's always good to drink a little paint thinner. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is our paint thinner. This is water. This is what we really use. I know it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of silly, but we use mineral water for all of our thinning of our paint. You do this at home, there's no smell. So when you're all done, drink up. Nice thing about Stewart Systems is it's a fully SDC product. It's fully certified. It can go on any rag and tube aircraft. It can go, of course, on any experimental aircraft. So it's completely certified. The system is also the only system that is certified to repair all the other systems. So regardless of what fabric system is on your airplane, Stewart system can be used to repair it. If you've got one of the other systems, you have to repair it with their system. If you don't know what system that is, if it's not in the logbook, the only repair you can legally make is with the Stewart systems. And it's just real simple to do. Again, it's using all the waterborne products. So it really is for an IA, for A&P, you only have to have one system sitting on the shelf. Any tube and fabric aircraft that comes in needs repair, you can use the Stewart system to make that repair. So that makes it really handy for the guy who's doing the job every day out in the hangar.
So next week or the week after, very shortly, we'll be back on site at the hangar doing more Affordaplane build. And stay tuned for that details on the engine we selected. I think you'll like it, hopefully. Everyone, back to building.